us this afternoon for this very exciting announcement, and we will begin with a land acknowledgement. Today, it is especially important that we seek and acknowledge the truth, that we seek and use good words that will help to bring our cultures closer together. Today, we are humble and we are honored to acknowledge that the land we meet on is the traditional territory of our Anishinaabe partners, friends, and neighbors. My name is Jim Hanna. I am the Communications and Strategic Partnerships Director at West Parry Sound Health Center. During land acknowledgements in our organization, we state that the land is the medicine. The air and the wind, the water and the waves, the rock and the soil, the plants and all living creatures that rely on the benefits and generosity of the land. Today, we acknowledge and give thanks to the countless generations of Indigenous people who have cared for this land. To their spirits and to their descendants who are here with us today, we say Chi Miigwech, Chi Miigwech. To begin today's announcement, I introduce Parry Sound Muskoka MP Scott Aitchison.
Thanks very much, Jim. And just want to kick this off by just saying it's a real thrill and an honor to be here with my dear friend Norm Miller, and good friend Jamie McGarvey, and good friend Donald Sanderson. I know that all of you have been working for a long time to make this project a reality, and I get to ride your coattails as a new member of Parliament to be able to be here to announce that finally the federal government has also announced its share of a contribution. This $23.3 million project, of which $12.7 million will come from the federal government, and of course $10.6 million from the provincial government, and then a local investment shared amongst the municipal partners of $8.5 million. This is a very exciting project, and as I know the communities have been working for many years to make this a reality. It is an incredible major step forward that's been a long time coming, and so I'm really honored to be here and thrilled to be part of the announcement, and looking forward to when we can break ground and get going on this project. I'll leave it there, Jim. I wanted to be very quick and turn it back to you, and looking forward to questions.
Thank you, MP Aitchison. We really appreciate those remarks. And now our member of Provincial Parliament, MPP Norm Miller.
Well, thank you, Jim, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy that you were all able to join us this afternoon to hear this great news. And I apologize for all the cloak and dagger leading up to today's announcement, but alas, such is the nature of these types of agreements. I'm so pleased to be able to acknowledge the many community leaders with us today on the panel and in the audience. This project has been a very long time coming, with 20+ years of advocacy from some very dedicated individuals. In fact, I first met the current mayor of McKellar, Peter Hopkins, many years ago when he was chair of the then Pool Committee, a role that Donald Sanderson currently holds. Each one of you deserves so much credit and should be proud of the lasting legacy you have contributed to the West Parry Sound region. During my tenure as MPP, I've had countless meetings that touch on many of the benefits for area residents, and I've heard from municipal members, committee members, community members, and even prospective residents about the need for this type of facility. The West Parry Sound Area Recreation and Culture Center will bring a whole host of health benefits to the residents of our communities and will act as a community hub in many ways. However, the impacts will be far greater for this region than simply being beneficial to those who use the facility. This type of facility drives a region's capacity to build community. It will help attract and retain needed professionals and skilled workers, young families and retirees looking for communities that promote active living. It will provide quality training for youth for jobs such as lifeguarding, which will in turn benefit our tourism sector. It will provide new activities for youth and promote active living, which can have lasting benefits throughout their lives. There will be numerous other fringe benefits, and I'm very pleased to have played a small role in bringing today's announcement about. Again, I want to thank everyone for their hard work. I want to offer my heartfelt thanks to each of our partner mayors and First Nation chiefs who signed on to this project. I would also like to thank all our CAOs, engineers, planners, committee members, and area residents who supported this project. You are the reason we are here today to celebrate the step towards our mutual end goal. Thank you very much, Chief McGuitch.
Thank you, MPP Miller. We certainly recognize that you have been beside us in the community over the long haul with regard to this project, and we very much appreciate that. Parry Sound Mayor Jamie McGarvey represents the lead applicant in today's wonderful news. And before Mayor McGarvey speaks, I would like to recognize other leaders that I hope are out there in our virtual audience participating in this announcement. They are from Wasauksing First Nation, Shawniga First Nation, and the municipalities of the Archipelago, Seguin, McKellar, Whitestone, McDougall, and Carling, and we are thankful to have them with us today. Mayor McGarvey.
Thanks, Jim. This is a very, very proud moment for the West Parry Sound area. This could not have been done without the cooperation of 7 municipalities and 2 First Nations. We are extremely pleased that everyone was able to come together and put this together with a good application so that we can have a facility like this leading us into the future with this new facility. I think, I want to thank MPP Miller and MP Scott Aitchison for their input into this. And we also have to thank the federal government and the provincial government for their contribution in this, and it is truly greatly appreciated. So moving forward, this brings our area into a new era, and certainly now we are going to be in a good competitive basis to keep people here and to attract new people to our area. So, sorry, I lost my connection there for a second. Somebody called in. Anyway, I just want to reiterate again, this was done with the collective efforts of the West Parry Sound area, and again, 7 municipalities, First Nations, and the hard work of our CAOs as well, and staff, to make sure that we got a good application in. So I certainly want to make sure that they're all thanked, the governments are thanked, and we move forward in a positive direction for the future of this area. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor McGarvey, and we certainly appreciate your remarks and the fact that so many people over so many years, including this current group, deserve thanks for today's news. So thank you for being here with us and overcoming those small glitches in technology.
Yeah, sorry about that. And one more thank you to Donald Sanderson for leading the committee. Great job. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor McGarvey. And I will now, to complete our announcement, introduce Donald Sanderson, the Community Volunteer Chair of the committee that undertook the successful work to make today's announcement possible. Mr. Sanderson.
Thank you, James. Ani, bonjour, MP Aitchison, MPP Miller, mayors, chiefs and councils, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. This is indeed a great day for West Parry Sound and our First Nation partners as we acknowledge and thank our federal and provincial partners for supporting our respective communities in our quest for enhanced health and wellness. As chair of the Wellness and Pool Committee, it's been my privilege to affirm through transparent, accountable, and expertly informed processes the diligent efforts of the communities that comprise West Parry Sound through their mayors, council representatives, chief administrative officers, and our Indigenous partners. I would like to recognize the many individuals and organizations that have worked tirelessly these many years to make their vision for healthier communities the very tangible level of support that we are celebrating today. This truly is our time. The Recreation and Culture Center will help to improve the health status of everyone in significant ways by supporting us to embrace health, wellness, learning, and understanding. I offer my sincere thanks and appreciation to all who have brought us this far. Indeed, this is our time. Chi Miigwech.
Thank you very much, Donald, and thank you to everyone who participated with you on your committee. And I'm hopeful that many of those folks are out in our virtual audience. We will now open the floor to questions from the media. And while asking questions, I asked them if they could use the chat function or raise their hand. And I'm thankful that Jess Farger in Mr. Miller's office will be helping sort of do traffic control during this session. So if members of the media have a question, use the chat function or raise your hand.
We have a question in from Sarah Bissonette. She's hoping that you can elaborate on what the next steps are and what the final design will be.
So Jess and James, I'll have a first go at that and then ask CAO Harris as a representative of the steering committee of the CAOs and the sponsoring organization to talk about the timelines. But we do have some continued work to do in terms of communicating with our municipal partners and First Nations, and that is priority number one. This is a game changer for us, having confirmation of the infrastructure grant. So now we are starting this afternoon. We have an ambitious agenda of communicating and next steps that need to accomplish to keep moving the project forward. And I will ask for a representative from the steering committee to speak to that in more specific detail.
I'm just going to turn on Mr. Harris. All right, Clayton, you should be able to speak now.
Thank you, Donald. Yeah, I just wanted to again thank everybody. This is fantastic news. There's a lot of work ahead of us in terms of next steps. We need to finalize our partnership agreement and create a municipal services board. It'll be the organization that we use to oversee the construction and operation of the Recreation and Culture Center. So it's important that we get that organization up and running. It will actually own the asset. We're working with the YMCA with respect to the ownership of the land and an operating agreement. We anticipate that the Y would operate this facility. So there's lots of work to do, but we've got a good handle on what our next steps are and well on our way to moving this project forward. That was all the comments I had.
Wonderful, thanks very much. I will, oh, we have a follow-up question, and while you're here, Clayton, I will keep you on. Sarah Bissonette from the North Star would like to know if we have an idea of when approximately we will be breaking ground on the project.
I can get back to Sarah perhaps after this call. I could check my records. Could potentially be later this year for groundbreaking.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to mute you now. Moving on, we have a question for MPP Miller from James Bowler of Your TV Muskoka. James would like to know how MPP Miller is feeling about the reopening announcement from earlier today.
Well, thank you, James. So your question is not about today's announcement. First of all, I'm thrilled about today's announcement. You know, I think it's going to be a game changer for the West Parry Sound area, and I'm really happy about that. With regard to the announcement earlier that we'd be moving into step 1 of the reopening plan, I believe it's Friday, June 11th instead of June 14th. You know, I think every day matters. And I'm just pleased to see the trend in terms of the number of cases per day with COVID-19. I believe it was around 600 today, and it's been under 1,000 and declining for the past week. And it's really encouraging to see how many people are vaccinated. I believe it's about 75% of the adult population of Ontario has at least 1 dose of vaccination now. And there doesn't seem to be any or much vaccine hesitancy, which is a great thing. And, you know, we've had as many as 170,000 shots into arms in one day. So I think it's looking very positive, and I hope we stay on that course. And we're moving into now the gradual phased reopening. So step 1 will start on the 11th, and then there's 3 weeks until the next step 2 and step 3, and I'll just be glad to see things fully open when the time is right.
Wonderful. Thank you, MPP Miller. Looks like our final question is more of a statement, but Mohammed from Moose FM would like to make sure that he also receives a copy of when the shovel will hit the ground. Mo, I'm happy to follow up to make sure that happens. And, oh, no, there's another question. So a question for everybody. Why would you say it took 20 years of advocating to get to this point in general?
I guess I can go first. You know, it's a big project, and I think for any of the municipalities in the Parry Sound area are all relatively small, and it's takes a lot to get everybody on the same page. And it also, frankly, the announcement today I think is critical as well, that upper level funding from the federal and provincial governments, $23.5 million. I think is a rather significant factor in making it happen. But there's certainly been a desire, as I mentioned in my comments. I remember meeting with then citizen Peter Hopkins, who was chair of the pool committee, and I think that was the start of his political involvement. But he was trying to make a difference in the community and eventually ran for local politics and became the mayor of McKellar. But it's a big project for the area and an important project, and I'm really happy that it's moving along very nicely now.
Did any of our panelists have anything else to add on that question?
Hi, Jess, it's Jamie here.
Yep.
I think that, you know, we finally got to a point where we realized that collectively working together, we can do this really well. And it proves that we're able to. There was also, as MPP Miller mentioned, you know, a significant amount of federal and provincial funding with this as well. We're not an overly rich area. You know, we do our best to you know, keep things moving ahead, and this will help move us ahead. And I think that, you know, we saw the collective light that, you know, this amount of money was going to help move this project forward and keep us in the 21st century for looking after its citizens.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mayor McGarvey. So just going to put out a final call for questions. Oh, I do see someone has their hand up. Hang on. I can't find them, but I see a notice that somebody has their hand up.
It's, well, MP Aitchison has his hand up. I don't know if you can see that.
No, you're the panelist side. Go ahead.
Thanks. As a politician, I didn't want to miss an opportunity to say a couple of words. But I honestly, what I really wanted to say was, I think that the success with the federal and provincial governments approving funding for this stems directly from the level of cooperation amongst the municipalities. I can't congratulate enough the work that's gone into this, where, you know, municipalities with differing levels of interest and differing levels of capacity to, you know, to contribute, you know, and two First Nations have come together. They've, you know, I'm sure it's been a bit of a bumpy road as you've proceeded along the negotiations, but you got it done. And I just think that's a tremendous example to, you know, to so many other communities about what can be done if you just work together. And I just think that, you know, Don, you and your team leading this from the community end of things, you've just done an amazing job. I will also say this. I know that Norm is far too humble and bashful a man to actually talk much about what he's done, but you know, the federal funding was predicated on provincial support. So effectively, this was approved. The funding, the upper levels of government was approved effectively by the province. And I'm going to tell you right now, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Norm Miller. I heard over and over again from all kinds of different communities that needed money from this same program. There was something like $1 billion worth of applications to a fund that had $100 and something million in it. Norm went to bat for all of you, every single community. And if it wasn't for him, it simply wouldn't have happened. I don't know if he had to put people in headlocks or what he did down there, but honestly, we can't thank Norm Miller enough. And I know he's just too good a man to actually tell you what he did. But thank you, Norm. If it wasn't for you, it wouldn't be happening today. And I want to make sure everyone knew that.
Thanks, Scott.
Wonderful. So we haven't had any other questions come in. I just say if anybody else in our panelists would like to just add anything, now is the time.
I would just like to leave closing remarks to MPP Miller and thank MP Aitchison for those kind words that I think are also very well deserved. And I appreciate what you had to say about our municipalities. And I know that you have a deep experience in municipal politics. So we appreciate what you have to say with that regard. Mr. Miller?
Well, thanks for acting as the MC, Jim. As always, a fine job. And thank you, Donald and Jamie and Scott for participating. Yes, the RCI program. And thanks for your over-the-top praise there, Scott. But it's true that the part of it is true is actually $10 billion of applications for $1 billion of funding. So it was hugely oversubscribed. So I think we're very fortunate to have this funding coming in to the West Parry Sound area. And I'm just really happy about it and look forward to things moving forward. And I know there's a lot of work to do, but if everybody, as Scott says, works together, this is going to be a reality in the not too distant future. So, and it's going to be great for the area. So thanks, everybody.